Thank you. All right, fine.
Hey, no barking. Get your business done and get over here.
Oh my
Okay?
God.
Is running out? Hi, everybody. This is the Godfather, Soul James Brown. I tell you, this business is on. My man is on. Check him out. This is the Godfather, Soul James Brown saying stay with it and hit it. Okay, thank you, baby.
Okay, we are here in the house with a very special guest. But before that, let's see. Alan, are you aboard? Are you there?
As far as I know, at least for now.
There you are. Hey, I want to let everybody know that you're watching Innervision FM. You can, do the thumbs up, share the program, and let your friends know that this is we're live. And children, don't try this at home because you can get a hernia or something like that.
You might get some audio hallucinations, all kinds of crazy stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also broadcasting on channel 56 locally on Comcast. So if you are in the Denver area, or if you are watching us on innervisionfm.com, why, you will be able to take a look at this and see what you see. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, top of the time zone, wherever you may be watching us on innervisionfm.com.
Yeah, and also let you know that we do have a few bills to play here. So if you can donate to us, paypal.me/Innervision Denver. That's paypal.me/Innervision Denver. And if you want to know where the money goes, I can send you out an Excel spreadsheet so you can know what we are spending money on, and so you could be in the know, because we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Boom, boom.
Absolutely right. And we want to be transparent, and we don't just say that, we mean it. We don't talk a bunch of talk. We actually walk the walk.
Right. And also we just congratulate all those candidates that won their race. And sorry that people didn't understand the one here in Denver about lowering the taxes on your property tax. They were voting for I don't know what they thought they were voting for, but I'm glad.
Oftentimes what'll happen is they'll say, if you want this to go through, vote no. And if you don't want it to go through, vote yes. That's a really well-known political ploy, which ends up sometimes working in the favor of the politician and not so much in the favor of the people.
Yeah. And I'm glad that the extra tax on the marijuana wasn't passed, because I figure like those people are trying to earn a living. And if you tax them out of earning a living, then people just go to the black market. So I'm glad that didn't go through, in those cronies that were trying to get into office so they can tell us it was a legal laundering service for politicians. And that's what it was going to end up being. And they were saying, in the name of the children. So right. You already have to be suspect when politicians say, in the name of the children. So anyway, we have a special guest tonight, and we want to get to him and share. He's a fellow podcaster, and he does like these very fascinating shows, giving some insight in a lot of blind people in the community and around the world. And I'd like to, ladies and gentlemen, for you to welcome to the show, Aaron Richmond.
All right. How you doing, Aaron?
Let's see. Wait, do I have you?
Might have it muted.
Yeah, I got it. Let's see. Let me see if I can unmute you here.
It's really funny. While you're working on that, I thought you had Aaron Lewis on. I was like, hey, we got, am I the only one?
Oh, man.
Taking my head, singing something ain't right.
Where is he at? What? Now, let's see. Now, I saw him there. Okay. Meeting controls. Let's see. Come on, where are you? I see. I was wondering why he was being quiet. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh,
This is one of the things that when you donate to innervisionfm.com via paypal.me/innervisiondenver, this will bring on extra moderators, this kind of thing, because we're kind of operating on a little bit of a shoestring. And with the incredible inflationary prices, hyperinflation, stagflation, all this stuff, it's going to be more important than ever to help broadcasters and podcasters.
oh, there you are.
All right.
Yeah.
How you doing, Aaron?
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
hear you now.
Perfect. Lovely. No worries. Well, good evening,
Sorry about
Johnny.
that.
Yeah.
Good evening, Johnny. Again, as always. Good evening, Alan. Good to meet you, Alan. By the way,
Hey, you too, sir.
yes, Johnny Johnson's right. My name's Aaron Richmond, host of the Aaron's Opinion podcast. Just in case you wanted to give me a call, which I know you did, 1-240-681-9869 or aaronsopinion6@gmail.com. Thank you so much for having me right here. I understand. I heard a rumor that Johnny Johnson, you want to talk to me about my opinions, to which there are many. And I invite both of you, especially Alan, I believe your name is, to ask all of your questions. I'm an overly open, I mean, Johnny can tell you any day. I'm an overly open person, willing to say almost anything. So what's on your mind? Go right ahead. Either one of you, go ahead.
So I want to know, like, okay, how did you get into this podcasting thing, and how did you decide what your direction was going to be?
I got into podcasting about 2 or 3 years ago. I was listening to podcasts in the blindness community from all over the world, and I just felt that they were not open enough to my opinions. They were not open enough to having me guest. And basically, I've been a teacher for 6 years, teaching English online. And of course, Johnny, you might remember some of this from, our conversations, but this is probably new for Alan, and hopefully new to the listeners. So I was teaching English for 6 years, still doing it today, of course. And I just love to talk to people. I love to educate people. I just love to talk and talk and talk and talk. This talking on a microphone just makes me happy. So I figured, well, what happened if I pushed record? Well, next thing I know, I didn't really realize it, but I was creating a podcast, and then I just built myself up from there, from one thing, podcast, and the YouTube, then making the connections around the world. And that's really how I got into it. I found my direction because I was responding to people's comments around Facebook within the blindness community. So I found out who my audience was, and the most important part of broadcasting is your audience, and then your audience, and then your audience. So I figured that out, and then that's how we got into the mess we're in today.
Yeah. So tell me, when you finding out who your audience is, that's a big part of it. But once you started like picking out people to have discussions with, how did you figure like how deep? Because you said you weren't hearing like enough depth in the conversation. Were they up to the challenge of getting deep on Aaron's opinions?
They were, and they are, and I know they will be, because the truth of it is, if someone listens to my podcast or watches me on YouTube, they know that I'm the type of person that really cares deeply about them, and I care about their story and helping them to share their story. So the types of guests that I attract are guests that are more similar to me, people who want to have, the deep philosophical conversations in an informed, educational, and of course, very entertaining way.
Yeah.
That
Now,
sounds awesome.
yeah, I heard this one conversation you had with this lady that she was blind and she was homeless and she had 3 kids, and I said, wow, because usually when I think of homeless, I don't think of blind people. But even though I've known some guys that were homeless, but they were like hippie type guys and stuff like that, but women with kids. Now that must have been like an interesting one just to get in depth with finding out how she maneuvered around in this, social services and all that kind of stuff, and them maybe not thinking that she was equipped to take care of her kids, and maybe wanted to take her kids. How now? Tell us a little bit about that one, because that was an interesting conversation.
It was. So that's from our great friend in the community. Starlet is her channel name, so I'll call her Starlet. Starlet is someone who has had a quite frankly, I'll tell you a little bit about her, and of course you should interview her too. She's had an incredibly difficult life, incredibly challenging life. In fact, I'll tell you that it took me over a year just to get her into a Zoom call because she was so overwhelmed with her kids and her life. That was a very interesting discussion, and it's just what really impressed me about her was just her kindness and her willingness to talk and her willingness to be open about her challenges. And to which she has many. And I just published that episode. I think, Johnny, you were saying it was about last week, about this time last week, and I emailed it back to her. And of course, any guest that's on my show gets their episode back to them when it's published every Thursday at 1200 New York. Anyway, though, I don't really know. Quite frankly, I mean, just by the way, I just want to clarify something that I actually do not know her personally. I've never met the woman in real life. I'm pleased to know that it affected you in a positive way. I'm glad that you appreciated that episode. But it's important to clarify, I've never met the woman in real life. I hope that she listened or watched the video. But I suspect that she may or may not have.
She said that she says she does, when she does hers, she doesn't go back and watch them. So I don't know why. It's like, because some of my, and my wife jokes about me, like, oh, you're listening to yourself. You just love listening to your voice.
Yeah, you're a narcissist. What? You're listening to your own stuff. I find myself doing the same thing, Johnny, where I'll go ahead and I'll re-listen to some of our previous things. Not so that I can get full of myself and think that I'm all that in a bag of chips, a large drink, and a brownie, but more so that I could polish some of my speaking abilities or in some cases, music stuff, just different things. I happen to, if I'm speaking and I really don't know what I want to say, I fill it with a lot of ums and uhs, and I speak more slowly, kills a lot of time. So it's a lot better for you, the listener, if I were to kind of go back and sort of listen to my own stuff so that I can polish it up.
Yeah. And I guess people not in the business, they don't understand that sometimes you go back and you want to critique yourself so you can do better and say, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. And then, correct that. So, but some people just put the show out there and never go back. Like some movie stars do that too. They don't watch themselves on the screen. They do it and they move on to the next project. So, hey, what can I say? To each his own. Aaron, tell me something. Have you done like a lot of like traveling, and in a way, is this type of show that you do is a way of like traveling without leaving your home?
I would say so. I would say that's a very good way of putting it. Sure. I mean, I've traveled all over the world. I mean, I've been all over Europe. I've been to one of the countries in Africa. I've been to one of the countries in the Caribbean. So I've traveled all over the place. But I would agree that podcasting is definitely a form of virtual travel because we have guests. And I hope that you, Johnny, have guests from all over the world. I certainly do.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really amazing. Yeah. To be able to interview people from other countries and to hear their perspectives for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We as Americans, we kind of get locked into a bubble, into an echo chamber where we kind of think that everybody thinks like us. Whereas the global community, oftentimes they think a lot differently than we do per se here in America about a lot of things. So that's quite interesting that the technology that we have gives us the ability through high tech to be high touch, so to speak. We can be in touch with people. We can meet people and get to know people with, there's both good and bad in this, but we can get to know people without actually meeting them in person.
Yeah, like I know people that have done radio shows and they never met, but because of the technology being so nice and so advanced, it's as if they're in the same room, but they're not. They just know how to take those cues. Now, what I want to know is when you start thinking about the kind of shows that you want to produce, do you like draw like an outline of like you want to talk to this type of person, that type of person? How do you get the ideals for your shows?
I reach out to guests from all over the world, and the guests that respond and are motivated are the guests that I talk to.
Oh,
Hey, there you go.
Now, do I have some ideas in the back of my mind of what I want to say? Sure, of course. But when you ask the right questions, you get the right interview, you get the right response. So I found that it's not about outlining the questions. Of course, in a philosophical sense, over a period of time, I do things the same way because, of course, I'm a repetitive person. But
right.
I always ask the same questions, but I always expect different answers. So every guest is different. But like I said,
Right.
the type of guests that are attracted to me and my show would be the type of guests that would want to be genuine contributor to, the overall content, I think.
Has there been something that has, what would be like one of the things that surprised you about either like a guest or they took it to another direction that you weren't expecting? Can you tell us like a story about that, if you have any like that?
Trying to think.
Yeah, because I know you do so many shows, it gets.
Well, it's all a blur. It's
Yeah.
all a blur. I mean, it always puts a smile on my face. Just this past week, I went back to the show that you and I did when I was interviewing you, and I really enjoyed that because I was really laughing so hard on that show with all the funny stories that you were telling. I guess you were a type of guest who really took it in a direction that I didn't think it would go, because I didn't realize that, quite frankly, you've had so many disturbing and serious and entertaining and educational experiences. You're just one person. It's like you've had like 20 different lives. I've never laughed that hard. I guess that would be it. I guess you, for sure, Johnny Johnson, are definitely one of the characters here on Aaron's Opinion, without any doubt. But I'm sure there have been many others. I just can't, with all the people I've interviewed over the past few years, with episodes coming out once a week, it's hard to keep it all. It's hard to remember who I talk to.
Because probably my wife won't let us, but that's when I was working at clubs, I would talk to people who had different lifestyle, either the drug dealers or the hustlers or the even street walkers. And then I tried to do an interview with them, and who they were wasn't exactly what they were putting out in the interview. So I never aired it because it's like, this is not some of the stories that you told me. And so I found some people like that.
Wow. Huh.
So I've been hesitant to revisit that because I'm not getting those stories. And this one person, it seemed like a cloud of darkness roams with her. Like she got a boyfriend, we're gonna get married. Then he goes to another state to get his money right. He gets killed, right?
Wow.
Then she's with this guy, and he's doing dope with turning these young guys on the dope. Then he overdosed, and it's almost like I said, I hope you tell people the pattern of your life, because you sound like a black widow without wanting to be one.
Wow.
So, but yeah.
So basically, you're talking about people will present a persona of who they think that they ought to be, or they think that maybe your listeners might want to hear, without actually opening up and then
especially if
Sure.
if they're in a criminal lifestyle,
Right.
that decides that it's criminal life. Now I'm sure maybe if I found some in what's that, Vegas, or I'm not sure where would be legal to be a criminal, but some people, even though they're doing those things, for some reason they open up to blind people, and
I've noticed. What do you think about that, Aaron?
I think you need to stop interviewing drug dealers. I mean, my show's scary.
My wife agrees.
Let me just clarify. We knew there was you knew there was going to be a lot of laughs with me. If I'm coming to the studio, I'm going to light you up. Trust me, okay? So stop it. So Johnny, trust me. Stop interviewing these suspicious people. Okay, it's not okay. It's Innervision FM. You don't need to be on HBO. Okay, you aren't HBO yet. Okay, so I mean, but I think what you said is actually very. Very, very interesting. I do think probably there's some psychology, and I'm not a psychologist, but I do think that there's some truth to the fact that probably if you are, someone who's suffering from some sort of a mental disability, criminal lifestyle, if you're suffering from any of those types of things, you probably would be more receptive and sympathetic to someone with a disability. So that's probably what that is. But you know what? You still shouldn't have known about it because probably you shouldn't have been interviewing drug dealers. Come on. But that's very interesting. That doesn't surprise me. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess who knows? But
because I used to see these people on TV, and I would watch movies about people like that. And then when I started working on the club, I started meeting those people. I said, "Wow, I saw you in a movie." And so I wanted to find out who you really are, outside of that movie portrayal I saw. So that was my curiosity. It was like, wow.
I think the curiosity is interesting. But suffice it to say, if you just know that if either one of you are talking to me, this is how I act. This is the real me.
Who you are.
Completely who I. Now I don't know if I'm talking. I don't know when I'm talking to Johnny. I don't know which Johnny Johnson I'm getting when I talk to Johnny Johnson. But this is the real Aaron Richmond. So,
here's the thing about Johnny Johnson, and here's the thing about Alan Colvin here. Both of us, we are of a bent where we'll talk to anybody and everybody, whether they be the higher class of society, whether they be the lower class of society. You see, because Jesus Christ is our King and our Lord, and he did not discriminate. He basically went and talked to everybody, and he was there for everybody. No, well, of course we can't be there for, but we're not Jesus Christ, obviously. Right. But we are bent on spreading the Great Commission. That is the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that's probably why either one of us, either Johnny or myself, we will use our openness and our bent, as it were, to talk to anybody and everybody, just so that message could be put out there.
Yeah. And I've talked to some military guys that have the STD or what, I mean, with the
PTSD. Yeah.
And I've had some interesting conversation with them where sometimes it got kind of violent in their talk, but I was able to talk them down.
Right.
And I don't know if I could ever get one of them on the air and then go through that fluctuation of those emotions. But it's interesting talking to them out in the street. And my wife always says she wants me to move away from that stuff, but it's interesting.
It is. I'll tell you guys, I interviewed someone, I'm not going to name drop. I interviewed someone who, looking back on it intellectually, now that I think back to the interview, I interviewed someone who I think had PTSD. Pretty sure he does. And he, I think looking back, I think he liked the interview, but I think there were other aspects. In his case, I think that he was someone who was struggling a lot more with things that I didn't even realize. So, but yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of very challenging conversations on my podcast talking about things that probably we shouldn't talk about, but I'm appreciative that we do, because I think that these are the types of issues that are going on around the community. You know, if you're speaking about something to help other people, then it's probably okay to talk about it in some regard. So I've had a lot of those conversations, and I take no pride or pleasure in engaging guests who've had a hard life. You know, that's not fun. But I've had other conversations where I feel like sometimes people just need to talk, you know? I mean, sometimes people just need to have the conversation to move forward in their own life, and I'm pleased to help them to provide that for them. So
and also it's a way of, like, maybe somebody's listening or watching, and they have experienced something similar to that, and they say, "Oh, I'm not alone."
exactly.
Absolutely right.
So that works as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Aaron Richmond tonight, and we're almost to the end of the show. It looks like. Is that right, Johnny?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well,
I mean, it goes so quick.
Final, if I can.
Go ahead.
We are under a great pandemic. This is something that has changed society for forever. Travel is going to be restricted. When we do want to go to other countries, we're going to have to look at getting the vacation package that we can't talk about on air because we'll get censored. So what is that going to look like for folks like us? Well, we are in a brave new world, just like everybody else. And with the folks that are going to be possibly losing their job due to this mandate that may stick, may not stick, who knows? And it may actually hit 50 plus million people in the United States that are also on Social Security of some form. It could be that they may want to try to tie that mandate directly to our benefits, as it were. And if that happens, why, we're going to have to find another way to support ourselves that will be, well, good, right, and legal for one thing. And for another thing, that will also allow us to continue this high tech, high touch that we've got going on. And so virtual travel, like what we got going here, is going to be more the norm, at least for now. Now, what things do you put in place, Aaron, or what do you plan to put in place that will address this?
Well, I mean, what I don't quite understand. I mean,
have you talked to people that think that their freedom might be limited because either for religious reasons or whatever, they choose not to go along with the vacation jabs or whatever? Have you talked to people that had anxieties about this, either in your as you're working or stuff like that? What has been your outlook on this?
Well, I think I understand what you're talking about, and my outlook would be that what a lot of you at home are probably hearing around the media is not always true, and that we need to inform ourselves with the facts. And that's what it's really about, is getting to the core of the matter. You know, and the other thing that I really think, and I really believe it, talk is cheap. You know, quite frankly, a lot of people in our society need to stop talking and start listening, because there's far too many people that talk too much. If you want to talk, start a podcast, but don't just talk.
Yes.
To create further
confusion,
further problems. You know, the problem that we're having, Johnny, is these problem people are people that won't talk to me. They won't talk to you. So then it's just, you know, all I can say is just focus on the facts and try not to worry about it, but always inform yourself of these matters. Yeah.
All right. Now give people because you gave a phone number and then your shows, and give that again.
Where do we?
Where do we find you?
Well, 1240-681-9869, Aaron's Opinion 6 @gmail.com.
So Aaron's
Then you've got-
Opinion 6@gmail.com.
And then you've got a podcast. Where do we find that?
Well, anywhere you get a podcast.
All right.
Just by going to Aaron's Opinion. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, man. We find. I find, and I know the audience is going to find like some of your past shows very interesting. And go in there, and if you want to hear some in-depth, just conversation and very relaxed conversational style, hey, go over and check out Aaron's Opinion. So thank you everybody for joining us. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, share the show, let people know that we're on, and you'll be seeing this a few weeks from now. You'll be hearing it on Innervision FM because we're airing it on the audio part from 5 to 6, and you'll be seeing it on our TV show Channel 56, Denver Comcast 56, 8 p.m. on Wednesday nights. So tonight you'll see a new show tonight. Tonight is Wednesday night.
Yes,
All right.
is. It is.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Aaron, and we'll have you back again too to find out some more.
Always welcome. Thanks for having me.
Right. Thanks, Aaron. God bless
Okay.
everybody.